Imagine you are an artist. Yeah, okay, you draw and sell stickers. In the beautiful city of Edinburgh, paying insane levels of rent for the privilege of being surrounded by beauty, when suddenly
Hello, hello, hello! As many of you know, my name is Kat, aka Kakibot. This channel is called Kakibot's Guidebook because usually I make little video guides for you peeps who are traveling to Scotland, UK, and sometimes, other places in the world. Today, however, I have decided to make a video to kind of get a bit of a beef out of my system because there is something that I have had some sort of internalized hate for in my brain for quite some time, and that is the use of generative AI here in Scotland. Now, generative AI is kind of ethically problematic at best and killing the planet at worst.
Let's say I engage in a 15-question conversation with ChatGPT over how I could be more environmentally conscious. Experts calculate I would be consuming about a half liter of fresh water.
The caveat is AI can be used for a lot of other interesting things within science and medicine, but today we are mostly talking about AI when it comes to, well, replacing artists, really, which I think that most of us can agree does not sound like a good thing. But do not make this video a total bummer. We will make most of it a bit of a petty showcase of just how horrible Scottish AI art is. And when I say Scottish, I don't mean necessarily made by Scottish AI artists, but by people who just want to create some sort of alternative vision of Scotland. Yeah, I think that, real Scotland is pretty freaking beautiful, so seems unnecessary. Now, I am in a lot of Facebook or meta groups. This is because I like to be on top of things that are happening in Scotland, and I'm also genuinely interested in what people who are traveling to Scotland or who consider themselves fans of Scotland are into, what they enjoy, what they like, which places in Scotland, are piquing their interest. But sometimes, more often than I would like to see, you do see posts like this, and as you can tell, this is a person who is using AI art in the context of "my talented daughter made this," and is trying to basically take all of these innocent people who are trying to support this lady's presumably fake daughter and sends them to an online shop where they can throw money at someone who has not put any effort into making this. I want to bring out an image which has actually kind of inspired me to make this whole video, because not only I saw it in multiple places, but also some of you lovely people who watch this channel have sent this to me asking me where this is. And this is not me pointing fingers at you, this is me illustrating just how frustrating it is to have imagery like that circulating without any kind of outward admission that this is AI generated. I mean, I'm looking at it again now, and it's like there is sort of an uncanny valley quality to it. Wait, okay, so this is this supposed to be a muffin or a candle? Yeah, and the road is also very interestingly shaped. Now, it seems like it's like flooded. It's rainy in Edinburgh, but it's not that rainy. A lot of similar imagery can actually be found on Pinterest these days, which I would say is like the second worst offender when it comes to AI. Maybe you remember, maybe you are a fellow illustrator or photographer and you used to use Pinterest as this like inspiration board, or something to use for reference when it comes to colors and buildings and people, poses, things like that. It used to be a veritable treasure trove of this like visual information, and now they do not have any sort of system that would tell you what is AI and what isn't. You simply put something in the search bar, in this case Scotland, and you get stuff like that. So basically basically more of the same kind of slightly nonsensical, definitely not real imagery of Edinburgh. You know what I'm gonna say is at least the Edinburgh Castle here looks kind of accurate, but like the street leading to it, it's kind of like Circus Lane, but like this like fractal of Circus Lane. I think that someone has actually accidentally put a blanket on the outside of the window. Yeah, that will help you get cozy. Similarly to Pinterest, even Google is now filled with AI nonsense. It's kind of upsetting to me that these days you go on Google and you just have to turn on that part of your brain that just kind of, you know, questions everything. It's exhausting. Anyway, on Google I found a whole bunch of things. Now these are from an actual stock image company. These days, basically every stock media site has AI generated images on it, which again then only leads to people using these on like media outlets, which is confusing to people. Now this is like this is this like mega Edinburgh where there is four Balmorals on this image, which I would hope that someone looks at this and thinks that seems like at least too many. But of course, if you've never been to Edinburgh, if you're just like writing an article about Edinburgh, then like you don't know. It's so strange. It's like a bad dream. Or, you know, you have images like this, which to me, this doesn't even necessarily have the vibe of Edinburgh. This to me kind of looks more like somewhere in like York or something. And okay, my favorite subgenre of these on the stock image websites is how AI understands Scottish food. This is AI's idea of haggis, neeps and tatties, or maybe like mince and mash, but like the way one is incorporated into the other just fascinates me. It's like you can make haggis, neeps and tatties look really pretty, and this is horrible. Like, I love Scottish cuisine and I hate that AI thinks that it looks like this potato-y cowpat. The other image, however, shows us what Scottish cuisine consists of. The best word I can use for this, for what's on this plate of ingredients, is just various substances. One of them looks like figs, which, you know, obviously it's not figs, just like there seems to be like a little glass filled with red onion. But wait, definitely something that's like somewhere between spiders and raisins. There's an interesting sort of structure, which I think is like mashed potato, but like if it was like halfway through triggering people's trypophobia. Ugh. And people actually buy this. People actually pay money for images like this. Now this was another image of Scottish food that I found, and I think this one does not take that much thinking when it comes to seeing that it's wrong. So these are potato scones. Potato scones look like this. This is a real potato scone, and this is AI's idea of potato scones, which is just a scone with some sort of like roast potato glaze, and most importantly, there's it all blue Union Jack, which maybe for some people is aspirational, but I feel triggered by that. Similarly, this image, I understand how someone was trying to illustrate some like food culture differences between Glasgow and Edinburgh, but why do the Glaswegian ones look so kind of furry? How much salt is on these? Now back off to Meta, where I will say there is a subcategory of AI generated content which I would call not bad, but still wrong. You know, this is images that have some sort of idea behind them. They are not meant to bamboozle people. They are just so over the top that people, I will assume, understand are a joke. For example, this Edinburgh bouncy castle is a good example of that, or this field of where farmers are growing organic marshmallows for creation of Tunnock's tea cakes, or these Geiger-esque sort of midge mothers laying their spooky midge eggs just in time for peak midge season. And I will admit, I borderline enjoy this little chocolate Hamish the Haggis, which is supposed to take down Colin the Caterpillar and his reign over celebration cakes. So as much as I don't actually enjoy the use of AI for these, I understand how for someone who used to make these using Photoshop and using actual skills to make them, it has probably been a game changer to have access to generative AI. That said, on a similar site, which is called Being Scottish, I found this thing, and this is a good old school use of Photoshop for making a dumb joke, and like, I'm so here for it. And if you're someone who wishes to stay on top of AI and like not supporting people who use AI, I will also say that even the meta pages that seem pretty clean sometimes post something like this, and I think this, like, you might think this is fine, but it's not. This is also an AI-generated image. This could have been a, this could have been a little job for a photographer. This could have been a little job for a model. And it isn't. Someone just decided to create this fake Scottish person standing in the Highlands with this t-shirt that they're trying to sell you. So just to kind of like help you be an informed customer, this also, is a part of the evil behemoth that is generative AI. I also went to have a little exploration over on TikTok. Now, I feel like on TikTok, usually it's a bit more obvious. Usually, there's something along the lines of, I asked AI to tell me what this would look, which, again, like, do you have to do that now that you know that it's killing the planet? No, but so it's still bad, but at least it's usually much better disclosed that it is AI. Now, you will see a lot of this sort of AI slop, like these things that really remind me of all the crap that we see in some of the tourist shops, not only in Edinburgh, but like I think that the first time I've ever seen these was in like Pitlochry, and it's weird that it came like from the heart of Scotland into like Central Belt. I think that here in Central Belt, thankfully, there's so many shops where you can get like genuine articles of artwork made by local people. As always, I will point you towards the Scottish Design Exchange, which I think is one of the best places in Edinburgh to pick up some nice souvenirs that were not touched by AI. People who work in these shops, in like, leaf makers, in Red Door Gallery, there is an element of like curation. So like people who come in, if someone has any sort of hunch that something could be done with AI, it will not be accepted. Hopefully that's gonna stay the case, but for now I can really recommend this place. I sell my stuff there, so if you want to support me, but also any of the other great artists, please go to Scottish Design Exchange. It's on George Street, my favorite shop in Edinburgh. So this video on TikTok is called I Ask an AI What Scotland Looks Like, and I think that like one of the most fascinating elements of it is that AI thinks that in Scotland we seem to have like 2 layers of land. I think, feels very mythical. I imagine some of the people who truly romanticize Scotland imagine it looking like this. However, I can tell you that this sort of geological miracle does not happen in Scotland. This sort of thing, just plain terrifying, and this guy's account is full of this weird slug. I don't know where the fascination comes from, and I don't like it. Now, the last thing that I'm gonna talk about is I feel extremely passionate about this because this is something that's not made by just like some person having fun on the internet, even though, again, we should not support that because it really takes a lot of resources and it is unethical because all of these models learn on people's work without their agreement to it. Anyway, there is an organization that has done something which has really upset me in terms of using AI, and that is Historic Environment of Scotland. Yeah, I was surprised too. So in winter, I went to see the Castle of Light. I did make like a nice little video about it for my Instagram. It was, it was fun enough. And, you kind of like walk through it. You spend like 40 minutes there. And then the last thing that they hit you with is this like strange installation where you are told like which one of Scotland's historical figures you are. And all of the imagery used in that installation is made with AI in a way that, like, to an eyeball of a visual creator, it is very clear. And I am not the only person who has noticed this. I have seen people commenting on this left and right. However, it is one of those situations where you realize that most people just do not care. Frustrating? But Historic Environment of Scotland should care. Now, I would like to thank Chris and Nat from the channel Backpacks and Burgers. Do check their channel out. They do make videos from Scotland as well. They have actually made quite an extensive video from Castle of Light 2024, and they did let me use this clip just so I can actually illustrate what I'm talking about. You see, I'm sure that many of you who do not live in Edinburgh or Scotland do like to imagine that this is a city that is filled with artists and is supportive of artists, that, people here can be creative and be appreciated for it, and people who come here to study can actually at least like realistically hope that they will be able to stay here and keep creating, and the country will give them a helping hand. That's just how it is, because like art is not easy to sell in the sort of volumes or at the prices where you can genuinely, pay an okay lifestyle with. So like a lot of artists and creators do depend on some sort of funding from the state. Scottish creative funding is being slashed left and right. It really isn't in a very good place right now. A lot of people who are Edinburgh-based artists are constantly considering moving down to London. The scene here is, I don't want to say it's dying, but it is not in a good place. And when you then see an organization like Historic Environment of Scotland, it feels like the last nail in the coffin of any respect towards people who want to like have creative careers here in Edinburgh or wider Scotland. It is very upsetting, not just to me. It should be upsetting to everyone that organization that constantly keeps asking for money, for funding, for people to think of them in their wills, will then kind of like have such double standard, and for an event where a ticket costs over £20, they will feed people this sort of slop. Someone has worked on it. Sure, like they paid someone to put the queries into the generative AI model. Yes, like someone has been given some money, but they used a piece of artificial intelligence that has been learning on the works of people who have never said yes to it. It is bad. It's bad. And to uncover kind of like a bit of my own hypocrisy here, when I was invited to see the Castle of Light in winter around Christmas, and I did make a piece of media about it, and I just chose not to take any footage of that. It genuinely, it made me so angry. Like I have probably done some cussing around kids who were enjoying this little installation, just because it truly hit me hard, that disrespect from such a big org towards creative people. But then I never said anything about it like outside, you know, on the social media. And I regret that. I genuinely feel bad that I never did anything, and I'm only doing it now, which, you know, it's a bit late. I don't actually believe that this video will have much of a reach. If you made it this far into this video, you're probably someone who likes me, who shares values with me. I know I said this video wouldn't be too much of a bummer, but that's where we're getting. Unfortunately, on kind of like a wider scale, the UK right now, you know, the Labour Party is really pushing for UK to become this, like, you know, AI powerhouse, which is a bit worrying, because even though with that, I would like to believe that AI in general, not just generative AI, but sort of AI computing, can lead us to some like better place within, let's say, healthcare. I think that there are probably uses within healthcare that would be good, like, you know, NHS is underfunded and understaffed, and maybe, if I'm being very optimistic, the use of AI could take some of that stress off people's plates. I'd really like to believe that, but I do also know that the Labour Party is mostly calling for all of these like pro-AI law changes, this sort of like AI benevolence, because they want sort of like tech money to come to the UK. They want all of these like AI tech bros to come here and feel safe here, that like the laws will not be too limiting for them, which reads very bad and quite dramatic to any creative in the UK right now. And there is something you can do if you feel passionate about this, either if you are a creative or if you're someone who wants to support UK-based creatives. You can go onto the website of the Association of Illustrators. They do have this whole template that you can use. You can send a letter to your MP, and you can hope that, you know, if enough of us do this, there will be a bit of pushback. Labour Party loves to say, oh, people can just opt out, or they can just take things off the social media. But if you've ever tried to sell art or like create a portfolio that actually makes it to more people than just like people you literally gave the address to, you know that like that impacts your creative business. This is not a realistic thing that most illustrators can do. Yeah, so I will link that down below. Once again, if you want to support local makers, you can either visit me on my Etsy store. I can send you a whole bunch of my stuff from there myself, using these human hands. And of course, you can visit the Scottish Design Exchange shop on George Street. A lovely place full of amazing work by genuine human beings, many of them my friends, so I can vouch for them not being just zeros and ones. If you want to follow me and my silly little drawings, do follow me on Instagram. That would be on Kakibot. And if you're interested in my photography and just kind of my life here in Scotland, that would be Kake blog. This is also my Patreon page if you want to support me, and if you want to get a bonus video every month, which is usually not just me, you know, ranting about AI. It's usually some sort of vlog from Edinburgh or Scotland or even somewhere else. Exciting. Thank you so much for sitting with me and listening to all of this unhappiness about AI art, and I shall see you soon.